Previously on Intrepid Bear, we left the pretty little port of Chinez to push ever northwards. The weather was a bit grim as we stopped in at Cascais before heading on to Peniche. This time let us give you a taste of how we use Intrepid Bear's off-grid power systems at anchor before setting off again and being treated to some stunning sunrise departures. But we endure another insect plague. This is Intrepid Bear, a 40-foot sailboat on her way home after 3 years of adventures.
Join us, Kate and Ian, as we navigate the challenges of voyaging back to the UK.
A bit tricky at times, isn't it?
This cabinet in the bathroom that ironically was once a wet locker is now kind of our power cabinet, and that's where all the power for the bread maker's coming from. So you've got the big blue box is the inverter, and then the two small boxes are the charge controllers from the solar. The sun is rising. It's only 9:07 in the morning, but we're already getting 20 amps. As the sun gets higher and higher, we'll get more and more power because it's going to be a sunny day, and that's plenty for the bread maker. By the end of the day, the batteries will still be charged, and with lithium batteries as well. I mean, we used to do it on AGM batteries, but with lithium batteries as well, it's ideal. We're just making bread from sunshine and flour and salt and stuff. And that's it. The bread maker will make bread, and in 2-3 hours time pop out a nice fresh loaf, hopefully. The bread maker uses a maximum of 600 watts and the solar panels put in a maximum of 800. So actually the solar panels at their peak can match the bread maker, but they'll easily replace because we've got the batteries can provide the power for it, and the solar panels will fill the batteries up later. So 600 watts at 13 volts, that's 46 amps. So that's quite a lot, but the lithium batteries can easily handle that, and as I say, the solar will put it all back in later, and by the end of the day batteries will be full, I'm sure. In a dull dark, we have to be sort of conscious of our power use because we're both going to be on our laptops today, and with the bread maker we're not going to make water because we're in a harbour and it'll be a bit dirty, but we have to be conscious of the weather for our power consumption. So in a dull dark British autumn day we wouldn't have enough power to do all this. On a bright sunny day, well, even in Britain on a bright sunny day we have plenty of power, and certainly as we're further south at the moment, then yeah, we've got the power to do it. So this kind of situation is where you need to know what power is coming in and out, because although we're getting a huge amount of solar at the moment, the bread maker is using a fair chunk of it because it's just started heating, and the computers are both plugged in, so they're using a bit. If I tried to plug in a 2200 watt electric kettle now, mains kettle, it would overload the system. So that's why I'm just making the coffee with gas. Coffee incoming.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Working hard.
Always.
Oh, it's ready, it's ready, it's ready.
Stick a shiny on there, why don't you? Oh, the paddle's still in there, so it hasn't got stuck in the bottom. There we go. See how it sounds. How's that, Beth? You have to, I can't cut it now, you'll have to wait an hour or so to have a starting brush. Another minute or two.
Before the bread was cool enough to eat, it was lunchtime. And although the built-in cooker on Intrepid Bear is gas, the solar and battery systems allow all electric cooking with our air fryer, induction hob and Rimoska mini oven.
So, we've cooked chicken nuggets, and we're still only 25 amp hours down. So during all the bread cooking, all the computers, we've still only got 25 amp hours we've got to catch up for the rest of the afternoon. So the batteries are at 95% already, even cooking the chicken nuggets. So it's all good. We can cook dinner as well tonight if we want to, because that'll cost about 30 amps, and that'll just put us into the evening in a slight deficit, but we've got plenty. So I think I'm getting the signal that I need to go for lunch, but that's how many amps going in at the moment. 40 amps. with the computer still running, so it's pretty good.
And it doesn't matter whether we've just had lunch or not, a warm slice of freshly baked bread is always a treat.
Can't beat homemade bread even if the machine did it. And there you go, despite all of the draw we've put on the batteries this morning, computers, bread making, and just the general running of the boat, batteries are charged by 1:45. Well, they were charged before that, I didn't notice them get to full charge. Its batteries are full, and the rest of the afternoon sunshine is kind of wasted. Not wasted, but we can't store it, so we could actually do with a bit more battery capacity to store that charge for duller days. We have increased our capacity by having lithium batteries now, but we could carry another couple, and then you could go for maybe 3 or 4 dull days without worrying about it. So yeah, pretty good solar power system that we got on the boat. Powers everything we need on bright sunny days for sure.
Peniche is a busy fishing harbour, and there is a marina, but as we were busy working on the boat, and to save a few euros, we had opted to spend our time there at anchor. However, it wasn't the best anchorage, and we did feel a little exposed at times.
So another thing we've taken to do in places like this is we just hang up this, it was a temporary anchor light, now it's just like a light. We put that on as well as the anchor light. Now we shouldn't have 2 anchor lights on a boat like this, so I just call it a deck light. There's no rule says you can't have a deck light. The reason for it is we feel a little bit exposed out here with all these fishing boats coming by, and the anchor light is 20 meters up there. If a fisherman is just looking forward, not necessarily going to see the anchor light 20 meters in the sky. The other thing we do is we switch on the AIS, so we'll show up on their AIS transponders as well, to just give ourselves every chance of not being hit by a fishing boat. They'd have to be not paying attention, but of course that can happen. So yes, it's not ideal out here. We can't tuck any further into this mooring field because that little mooring over there is nearly on our stern when we swing that way anyway, so we can't get any closer in. But we do feel a little bit vulnerable with all the fishing boats flying by, so we'll be pleased to move on tomorrow, I've got to be honest. So quite a stunning looking morning here in Peniche, but who knows what the conditions are like outside the breakwater. It's 0600. What does the O stand for? Oh my god, it's early. We'll get going.
What was going on with the anchor?
There was a lot of crap on it basically. First of all, there was some fishing gear wrapped around it. Well, there's a yacht anchored out here. First of all, there was fishing gear wrapped around it, which fouled the chain coming in, and then when the actual anchor came up, there was a load of plastic rope and reel rope around it, which still seemed to have something hanging off the bottom of it, so I had to cut it clear. And it got a bit muddy. That's quite something. So the forecast for today, we've had northerlies for the last 2 days, which is why we stayed there in Peniche. Forecast today is to start northeasterly and then actually go round to sort of east or even slightly southeast and just be coming straight off the land. Not counting my chickens on that because you know, forecasts are quite often not strictly correct. If that happens, that could be, you know, useful for sailing, but we'll see what it's like when we actually get around the corner of Peniche. Peniche is almost like an island. There are actually islands off the end of Peniche as well, but Peniche sticks right out like a headland, so we'll go out around the end and then come back in on the other side close-ish to the shore and see what the wind is doing. But if the forecast comes true, we might even have both sails up, but I'm not counting my chickens. Wind's kind of all over the place at the moment. The sun's shining, the sea's flattening down. And there is this, if these waves were on the beam, would be a little bit bouncy, rolly, but they're kind of on our nose and we're punching through them reasonably. But no sails up yet because there's literally no wind. So the apparent wind is right on our nose. Some might pick up later, but if not, it'll just be a motor.
Pretty much as soon as Ian went off watch, as we're now below to sleep, the wind's picked up. So I did what I could in terms of I've let out the Genoa and kept the revs on because we're trying to get somewhere before the north wind picks in. But that's boosted our speed by nearly 2 knots, and our ETA now is in about just under 4 hours. It'll drop off. I think this wind, this southeasterly, is supposed to die in the next hour or two, and then we've got maybe an hour or so before the north wind, so this gives us a nice boost to try and get to Figueira de Foz before the north winds, because they don't want to really beat into it if we can avoid it. So I'm quite chuffed with myself. I had a little bit of a hiccup because the battery for the motor's died, so I had to keep leaping back and forth to the plotter to change course and pots, and then I hadn't properly checked the phone line was clear, and I was trying to make the Genoa that got a knot in it, so I keep clutching it off and get rid of the knots in it, but all that drama, but I did it, so I'm quite pleased with myself having done that. And yeah, we're sailing along nicely, 7 knots. I mean, it's motor sailing. Oh, I think there's a pot, gotta go.
And then, you may recall the plagues of bees and then mosquitoes that we encountered earlier in the trip. Now it was time for another one.
Today's plague is flies, literally thousands and thousands of flies. Never had it sailing in an offshore breeze until we left Gibraltar. We've had bees, what else have we had? Mosquitoes, and now thousands of flies. Oh, it's horrible.
The swarms of insects blown offshore were really strange and not pleasant at all. But the only saving grace was they tended to leave as quickly as they arrived.
So just poaching into Figueira de Foz. It's a lot bigger than I thought. For some reason in my mind it was a little fishing village. It actually looks like quite a big town, almost a city. Certainly quite big. But we're coming into the harbour entrance, then bimble up to the marina, go alongside and see what the situation is there. Got about a knot of tide in the river here flowing with us, so we've just got to be careful as we turn to go across and into the marina entrance so we don't get swept sideways into the wall.
Figueira de Foz seemed a really nice spot, where, in different circumstances, we might have spent a few days. But our main aim was to get as far north as possible, so we didn't linger and we only filmed this one clip.
Not a bad spot for a beer.
No, nice. Like I was expecting. So,
Cheers. I know I'm just a silhouette against this nice sunrise. It does look like a nice sunrise. Wind is on my back. Stood here, which means it's coming down the river, which means it's offshore, so fingers crossed. So that's what it's meant to be. It's meant to be light and offshore most of the day. 6 o'clock departure again, heading for Porto. I think once we get to Porto, although we could maybe push on another day, after that it wraps in for a week. We'll probably stay in Porto because Porto is a nice place to stop, do a bit of exploring, a bit of resting, and just a bit of enjoying, really. So yeah, we'll get slipped and get going.
Thing that's run out at water here.
Yeah.
The extra steering line on davits.
Yes.
That's it, attached. 12 bags in hand. 12 bags in
Well, look at that sky. All right, red.
hand. Wow, yeah.
Here we go again. So basically we're doing 3 knots down the river here, and I'm in tick over, and the paddle wheel log is saying 0.2, so actually it's potentially 3 knots coming down the river now. There are occasional benefits to alarm clocks. Alarm clocks are horrible, but when you see sunrises like that, that's really nice. So, see how the day shapes up. The wind is currently offshore as is forecast. It's meant to be offshore and light with less swell than yesterday. If that comes true, that'd be nice, but I'm not holding my breath. Don't want to build up expectation, but yeah, we're heading for Porto. The reason we're going to be motoring most of the day again is you saw how the tide was in the river there. If we arrive in Porto after 5 o'clock, we might be fighting a tide like that to get in, and we really don't want that. Yeah, so high water at Porto is 16:53, so 5 to 5 p.m. and our current ETA is 17:49 because we've got some current against us slowing us down. So we'll be an hour into the ebb, which would be quite a battle to get in. But hopefully either this tide will ease off the current that's against us, and or we'll get some wind to boost us up a bit. The annoying thing on anywhere outside the UK, I haven't found it anywhere else, possibly on the French Channel coast, but the charts don't show any tidal current. They show tide up and down, but they've got no arrows showing current on the UK coast, and I think on the North French coast, you can click on the chart or you can look on a paper chart and you can see which way the current's going. So you can calculate it for it and, you know, factor it into your calculations. Here, there just doesn't seem to be any predictions of current. So I don't know if they're unpredictable, so they can't predict them or what, but yeah, so you generally get current along these coasts, but no way of telling what they're going to be as far as I can tell. But maybe I'm missing something. It's not a lot, but that'll do to give us a little bit of a boost, so we'll get a head sail out. Not going to bother with the main because I think the wind's going to be all over the place today, so we'll just go with the head sail boost as usual. As I say, I can't see us actually sailing properly. You never know, I might eat my words, but for now we'll just get the head sail out. Of course, give us a boost back up to 1640, which is kind of what we need, so that's good. Long may it continue. So we've got an hour and 15 to go to Porto. We haven't filmed a lot because it's literally just been sail out, sail in, motor sail, At the moment we're creaming along quite nicely at 6.7 under motor with sail assist. Got a reasonable wind, and we're due in pretty much just before high water, so that's worked out quite well. It's been quite a nice passage actually today, so yeah, it's all right. And be in Porto imminently, so yeah, really looking forward to getting back there.
Head sail away. The wind's done what it said it was going to do, gone northerly. So our last bit of motor sailing, we've got less than 3 miles made it to Porto. Really long day today. I haven't spoken much, but as Ian said, not a lot to say. But yeah, we'll be in Porto. Done a lot of miles, and now we're going to rest. Can't wait.
So I dropped the anchor, just waiting for it to bite now. We've still got 0.5 knots astern, so we're hoping that any second now it's going to bite in and the speed will come off. Okay, so the blue course line has gone from the back of the boat. The purple line there is the current, because you can see there's 1.5 knots on the paddle wheel log, which is our speed through the water. So we're doing 0.2 knots over the ground, but we're still doing 1.5 through the water. That means the current is flowing at 1.5 knots. And you can see it on this buoy over here. It's romping out and probably going to get rompier. Also, we were looking at the depths as we came in, and the tide is 3.6 meters high now. Whatever, I can't remember the exact numbers, but it's going to fall 2.7 meters. So our echo sounder shows depth under the keel. So we needed a minimum of 2.7, and I called it 3 for a safety margin, a minimum of 3 under the keel. We've got 3.7 here, so when the tide falls to its lowest, we'll probably have about a meter under us, and that's okay. That's fine, but you have to make sure that you've got enough room under you for the tide to drop. Anyway, we've stopped, so we'll just give a little bit of a stern power, but not much, because we've already got the river doing most of it, and just make sure she's holding. I'm not sure how well it's going to show on camera, but we've got a boat off to our starboard side here, and I'm lining up the mast of that boat with the building behind, and it's not moving at all. So that's using the transit of that mast with that building. You can pick anything in the background, but you just need to make sure that that boat is not moving against the background, and that shows that you are anchored nice and tight. So I'm happy with that. I'll put the bridle on and we are good. Porto, baby.
So there we are, back in Porto, the city that we really loved on our way down. There was a period of northerly winds forecast, so we would be in Porto for a few days. Do join us next time to see what we get up to. Come with us through Europe's deepest loch and up the stunning Douro Valley, before we head back to sea to push on ever northwards. Thank you for watching.